Hi, Kathy Vick, Deeply Awake. And this is a special one, you guys. It's a gift. And it will come with a channeling too. And I've asked for the ancient one to come. The old one. And they're already here. So that's nice. I'm entitling this The Peace Which Passes All Understanding. Because I have it. And I want to give it to you. I realize that I have called my life a living laboratory since the early 90s. I've actively called it that and acknowledged that's what it is. It wasn't until recently that I understood it was also a mystery school. But there you go. And what I have offered the last 6 years in the form of beautiful writing and then videos capturing tremendous light activations is just a way of giving back and helping people who are still stuck in matter. Okay? Because I was. So why wouldn't I do that? I was doing it for myself as much as you. Because I'd get lost. I'd fall back asleep. And it was a revolutionary thought for me to begin to see the relevance in that well-being is our natural state. Joy. Unfetteredness. That's our natural state. Well, it's very hard for me to personalize that. But it is. A childlike wonder, deep, deep reverence, and profound, organic, innate wisdom, and then just complete annihilation socially. Just like I just described this deep, ancient, rich green forest, and then find that forest behind somebody snapping their gum at a 7-Eleven, late for an appointment with someone who is going to ream them because they're late. Where, the land of ego, the land of cash, the land of pony up, prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it. Hard. Because I preferred the place that was gentle and mysterious. Because it was there that whales had special powers, where I was more ancient than I could possibly imagine, where it would be daft not to factor in divine intervention and miracles. That's a wonderful, magical place to live. It ain't where most people live. They gotta have the schematics. They gotta have the lists. The way they trust is they gotta know that you have the same ability to think linearly as they. Otherwise, you might not be safe. And so it's a very limiting consciousness. And in my studies recently, I finally have stumbled upon some information that ties things together. It's very hard when you've got lots and lots and lots of details and no coherent plot, just data points. And so I think of a soul's journey or a consciousness's awakening much like I think of it in terms of the Fibonacci series. If you look at a nautilus shell, and it's all curled up, right? Well, if you imagine just unrolling it, and then put that trajectory on a time sequence. So over time, you're going from the largest part of the shell down to the smallest part of the shell, where it began. Well, if you're traveling forward on that trajectory, it would look like fractals. It would look like things coming up, the same thing coming up again and again and again. But then faster and faster and faster, until it was so in your face, so much a part of your biology and your awareness and your consciousness that you end the series. You get to the binary, the twins, the 0 and the 1, the female and the male, the spiral and the line, the void, and its expression. And I think that's how consciousness works. I think that's how ideas work. And I think it's how truth works. Because, of course, you know, it just goes on and on. There's always another series. But what I've come to is a bit of a synthesis that is very helpful in looking at what's going on culturally as well as spiritually, I guess, in terms of ascension. So what I'm seeing very plainly is it's very nice and very helpful, I think, at the beginning to embrace the idea of ancient aliens. Why the heck not? It's a really good explanation. And it brings in supernatural forces. Yay. Something beyond, but something that we can put a label on. Well, you know, I think in time immemorial, when you would walk through those, the Giza Plateau, it was pretty obvious that there was something going on. I mean, I'm sure when you walk through it, it's just, I've heard people talk that it's just like, for some, it's just, it grips you. And it really never lets you go, that energy. And that's that universal energy, I think. Although, what I'd like to say is that I have always thought, since the very beginning, I've stayed away from Egypt. And it's just because I find it so cold. It's cold. It's so cold. It's male. It's not. It just isn't right. It's not right. I've always felt like that. I just didn't like it. And then I finally got over, and I knew it was Martian. I knew. I just, it was because I'm so repulsed by that energy. And it's something that is so within me that I can't, it just is. And it's Martian. And take that for what it's worth. It's just not. And I can see I can see the strains of it in the Egyptologists themselves, and more largely in the archaeology community. And you see it in play. Two consciousnesses finally meeting again in that pyramid holy site in Bosnia. It's speaking. It wasn't silenced. And there is a rune there that kind of says it all. We're on standstill. The gate is closed. That's what happened. We're on standstill. The gate is closed. We'll have to defend and conquer. It happened later. It happened afterwards. There was a time when things were different. The earth was a friend. And it spoke. There are nulls and nodes on this earth. And it's there that these beautiful monuments now seem to magically appear as human beings' imagination and intelligence and ability to handle nuance and paradox grows. The peace that passes all understanding. You can start with ancient aliens, that's good. That leads you to astronomy. And even for hardcore male consciousness, for some, there'll be at least a nod to astrology as a former science, which is good. But there's a disconnection, you see, putting the wonder and the power and the majesty outside the human being. And that's not how it was in the beginning. We were the ancient aliens. Duh. And, you know, this a lot of archaeological proof is at the bottom of the sea. So, you know, good luck with that. But, it doesn't take a genius to see that there are some similarities in the megalithic culture. And many of these similarities are, it's very clever, highly symbolic, and all to do about creation. And I hate to lay it on you guys, that H that everybody's seeing everywhere, it's DNA, okay? It's DNA. It's not a torus, and it's not going from one dimension to another, although certainly, it's implied. But it's an H. Okay? What else in nature is an H? Well, that would be DNA. Okay? So just put two and two together. This is what's missing, is the connection. That's why I'm telling you. So, and pardon the tears, I don't care. It's very, for me, I'm not an archaeologist, and I'm not a dude, and I'm not like a scientist. I don't have alphabet soup behind my name. Thankfully, I'm I have visions and stuff, and my journey has been one that is mapped by greats in my specialty, which is call it divine esoterics, or call it, I think that's the esoterics of divinity, that kind of thing. It's a priestly art. So my delving into God led me to the pyramids and made me go, ew, ew, and have icky feelings. And then check those Bosnian pyramids out. Mama's talking. Mama's talking. Mama's home. Notice the kind of person who was chosen for this. It's a male, but he's so kind, egalitarian, and he laughs off the stuff that ruined other people. Oh, everyone is discrediting me. But this guy, this work is too important for your little egos, and he's found a way. It's just beautiful. This older culture, this older civilization, we're from Lemuria, from Mu. And I want to say what I know. Whether they comment on it or not, I don't know. What I've pieced together so far is that there was a very large continent, and there were places within this continent that were colonized by incredibly advanced civilizations. And I don't know of any other credible source for this information except Cryon and the teachers. So take it or leave it. But the Pleadians walked among us and seated with us, seated the population consensually, and developed a school for those who were adept, for those who wanted to. And those who wanted to were not from Earth. They from all other systems. And it was a cooperative thing. And these people were called Lemurians. The ones who were directly descended, and who were taught from this other civilization, who were sung lullabies in Pleadian tones, and the things they knew, we can't even begin to comprehend in our present consciousness. And then, from what I understand, the society grew and and it was a very beautiful thing, look at that. And it was very stable and very beautiful, and it was an experiment. And it came to pass that there was going to be a comet coming. And it was not a good thing. And of course, the Lemurians knew about it. Everybody knew about it. How can you not? And it was decided, we're not going to intervene. We're going to let this happen. And on the earth at that time had settled a colony of Martians. And through interbreeding, they lost the technology that had gotten them from Mars to here. An external merkahbah that you can see the evidence of. Just listen to Richard Hoagland. He gives the confirmation. It's a geometrical place. It is the external merkahbah, which the Martians used to come here. And then this comet event, and the Martians said, hold the phone, you effers. We're going to blast this effer out of the sky. We're intervening. And they were voted down. And so they tried to construct an external merkahbah. remnants of it are felt in the Bermuda Triangle. It didn't work. They'd forgotten. Why would they need an external merkahbah when human DNA is a merkahbah? Why? Because they are indeed part of an experiment of living outside, being cut off. And so that's fine. It's just their right. But man, they're pissed. And so the intention was to get off the planet, just to leave. And that made sense. I mean, that's okay, fine. But they weren't wise about it, and they didn't communicate, and they were allowed to go forward with it, and it was very bad. There was a dimensional shift. You think this was a surprise to Lemurians? Part of the Pleadian and Lemurian work was to set the grid of the planet with these power points, with these nulls and nodes, and with these sites. That was the idea. And there are many that are lost, but anyway, there's numbers and all this stuff. But it then was a way to work with the Earth's energy, and it was going to be required because the dimensional shift was going to be significant. And indeed, there was a flood of very low dimensional input, and it was sealed, and it was not good. It wasn't good. And the comet came. So that's how the experiment got a little fouled up. It was already going to be fouled up. Well, it wasn't not really fouled up, but it was going to be, all right, so it's an asteroid. All right, so we go through another bit of this. That's fine. That's fine. Still a good planet. It was like that. But yeah, then it got a little complicated. Well, the thing is, these Martians couldn't leave. And their descendants, well, if you're cut off from source, if that's just how you roll, then you gonna care much about yourself or other people? I mean, really, where's your compassion? I'm another you, you're another me. It's different. But over the millennia, things have indeed integrated. And now I understand what Barb Marcianic was talking about, that one of the reasons they came back and gave that work is because that energy was coming back to merge. And now I understand what that meant. It's a lot to reconcile because it's really, really, really unpleasant energy. And I feel really super strongly in Antarctica. It's really, really strong there. Ugh, not good. And it's the same feeling I get at Egypt when I scan that. And it's all removed and neutralized and seen as a pest when I contemplate just for a moment the pyramid in Bosnia and those tunnels and that lake and that energy and that healing and that love. That's what's real around here. And the Egyptologists and the archaeologists shut that down. They threaten journalists. They do not want information released about this pyramid. Wonder why? Wonder why? It is, if you want it's evidence, indisputable, irrefutable evidence that all is not as it appears, and we're not as clever as we think we are. Period. End of list. We are unhealthy for ourselves and for the earth. I mean, that pyramid speaks so loudly, and its spokesperson is so sweet, so gentle. This is awesome. I'm really hoping to get my papers in order and Sam's papers in order, and hopefully spend some time there, helping out as we can. I gotta go. I don't care about anywhere else really at this point. Sure, traveling to Hawaii to stand on the go button for Lemuria. Well, that would be neato, but I don't really need to. This I need to go see. So the peace that passes all understanding for me is to remember, to see things bigger, and to put things in perspective. And when that low, slow, mean, fussy, externalized consciousness, it can really, its whole purpose is to trick you into thinking it's the only thing in town. And it's just shocking how once you know what you know, you can't get tricked anymore. You can feel it. You can feel a difference. And so, my feeling is that it's good to broadcast this out. It's good for the grid, and it's good for me. And it's good for others who are searching. But this is a time where I think everyone is going through their own period of the Fibonacci series. And maybe you're at the very beginning of your shell and you're just kind of lolling, and it's going to be a while before things heat up. But the thing is that I think that the Earth is also on its own pattern of creation. And I think that we see enough evidence of instability. I love it that Hawaii is growing a new Earth for us. Mama is giving us new Earth at this time. It just is so lyrical to me. Because I know if I'm switching on and I'm remembering, I no longer question it. The people who are at my frequency and really close to it are going to get the information. I say so. And whether they access it or not is their business, but I am broadcasting, baby. So it's kind of neat. Well, I'm glad that I've been able to sort of tie everything together, because having had personal experience with this energy that I've been talking about that isn't evil, but can certainly appear that way and certainly act that way. Certainly can act that way. What is the point of this? This is a hard ascension. This is a tricky one because of the thing that went wrong. And there are some, extra measures that have been put in place to assist in this time. Because there is a population that is so fast asleep. And it's a population that it truly is in 3 waves, but I see it in concentric circles now. There's the first wave, who just intuitively know this stuff and are leading the way. And it's because they are driven. They have to find out. They have to find out. That's their purpose. You're looking at one of them. There's others. And then there's those who are deep in the paradigm, and they really truly believe that everything's outside of them, and that they really are not capable of anything more than the cultural programming. And then there's the third wave, and they're the ones who are at the other end of the spectrum, who, you know, I really do see it more and more as just itself is dark and light. What happens when resistance or darkness becomes self-aware? If you've got this bunch of people who are lighting up like, I don't know, like a Roman candle, and their light is spreading, and they may not even be aware of the source of the light or what it means, but there's a sense of relief and a sense of like self-respect and sovereignty coming back, and respect for the woman, and respect for self, and equality. All of those beautiful things that we know when we talk about, I want peace on earth, like at Christmas Eve, that's when you go and pray for world peace. What does that mean? What does world peace mean? It means every single person on earth is at peace with themselves and each other. World peace. World peace is a world populated by those who are at peace. And when you got questions, and you've got amnesia, and you've got like a pebble in your shoe, there's not a lot of peace. And then this oppressive reality of, at the other end of it, of people willfully not wanting people to remember their brilliance and magnificence and abilities and history. Well then, wave theory, simple wave theory. There has to be some place that it goes to, where the light goes to, and it simply spreads. And enough people in the second wave start acting more decent, they will as one turn to those who are indecent, to assist them, to contain them, to minister to them, but to no longer obey them. That's silly. For me, that is the peace which passes all understanding. And it goes far beyond the biologic threat I sometimes can feel around certain energies. I am bigger than that. And if I'm in awareness of that, it has to back down, because it knows that's true. But until I realize it, I'm a pushover. I really did realize that a lot of this was an energetic change. I talked about the pole shift, but this is going from being, it's just a redefinition, because I saw the receptivity and I saw the what I consider like aggression, but it's positive aggression, like the aggression of giving birth. That's an aggressive act, but it's also a good act, and no one gets hurt, but everybody gets changed. So there's got to be a word that's better than aggression, but you know, there's receptivity, and then there's action. There's enacting. And when you're in the still point, allow yourself to be in the still point. If you're in a place of deep study and reverence and research, well, that's how I roll sometimes. And there is this, like a dog yipping at my heels. You should be doing something. You should be doing something. And I mean, like, so I'd get up and do something, and I'd get up and do something, and it makes you feel better. And so for me now, this part of it is integration of this information with my daily walk. And okay, you're ready when you're ready. I'm getting ready. I'm pretty excited. So, all right. That's what's been going on. It's big, and I'm happy and peaceful. And when I feel like this, when I feel no impediment and no reason to ever not feel this way, that's when I document. Because I know things get weird. And I need documentation that things don't have to be weird. Things don't have to be dark. They don't have to be twisty or hard. That's all optional. So I'll end with that, my portion of it, because if this fractal nature is really, really true. And the shifting of dark to light, I think it's just really a pole shift, or what I saw, this brilliant, brilliant light that just was added to what was going on, and then that brilliant addition of light to the tableau changed everything. Well, that makes sense, and it's pretty much just a story that we're seeing play out, and it gets a little bit tense when there's, I don't know, warmongering and bullshit going on, but even that's getting tiring. It's just, I think it's having the desired effect. People are beginning to see how ridiculous these people are, and how easily we're letting our chain get pulled. And sooner or later, people are going to figure that out. Sooner or later, they're going to figure out they've been tricked. But it hasn't happened yet. I would imagine sometime it will, with these hits of information that keep buffeting humanity like this, the sun is buffeting us. Whew. Ding dang do in the last few days, cosmic rays galore. Yikes. There must be something in this time frame, because it's this time of year that I get this information. It's bizarre. I think it must have something to do with some sort of alignment. I'm not really sure. Who knows? I'll have to ask intuitively. All right. So I'm going to channel because I think it sounds like fun. Yeah. Yes, we've been coming through again and again, especially near the water. It's very much fun. This one is highly obedient. Okay, so that's nice. We say that to be obedient to your own spirit or soul, well, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And the outside world, the other people, if they do not understand about this, then they're happy to assume the position of authority, thinking that there's no one home and no authority within. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Okay. And so, yes, we would like to talk about frequency. It is true that there may be coming a time in which the importance of and sacred geometric nature of water becomes more important, but we think is a bit of a long way off. It is an esoteric science, certainly, given how water is treated right now. It is clear that people do not understand this quite important substance. So we have said quite cheekily that sound creates geometrics create sound. Geometrics create sound. Geometrics create sound is what we have said. Yes. And this is indeed the case, of course. And of course, from sound comes matter. This is the progression. And so we would like to speak about these beautiful structures in the Bosnia. They are good examples of much. And yes, they were waiting for their midwife, so to speak. Okay. Not possible to have a midwife woman right now, but yes, the person was finally ready. Is it possible, do you think, that these people are incarnating back to where they belonged once, to literally birth themselves? Is that too far-fetched? We think not. But to hold this consciousness requires a belief or a knowledge of reincarnation, soul multiplicity, and one's divine nature. And that one does have a divine purpose here. Perhaps you are not to discover pyramids. Okay. Perhaps yours is to waken from the dream. Perhaps yours is simply to offer the sustenance of love to others. Perhaps for you, a particular bush or tree or other physical fascination draws you in. But we would encourage those who wish to do a little bit of free range research on the Google or on the YouTube, just for fun, see what comes up. The algorithms, they are not so tight, you know. If something needs to be seen, it will be seen, unless you decide something else is more important. Unless you decide, based on a picture or a title, that's bullshit. That's okay. That's okay. It doesn't mind. It remains unchanged and in repose at your leisure, as you wish. For it is you who is sovereign of your consciousness and your life, not information, not change or evolution. Surely no one made you push play on this tape, yeah? A conscious voluntary act of interest and delight and discovery, we would hope, yes. So when we say we would wish to talk about frequency, what we wish to say is that when there is a certain frequency that is struck, the geometrics change. They must, because they are one and the same. Expressions of something far more. Frequency shift. We prefer the word amperage, of course, yes, because it's not. We wish to invoke spin, vortex, spiral. Very important to this work, and it must be part of the discussion, you know. That's why we wish to say that frequency is perhaps one way of expressing the word amperage. And we like amperage because, you know, if you think of amperage going through a human being, then it is a livening thing, you know. Electricity in a human being. Oh, that would make them jump. Well, okay. but we would say that the amperage of the spin of the electron is commensurate to the amperage of the spin of the consciousness, and that these are influenced not only by cosmic factors but by consciousness and intent. Intent overrides karma. Intent is will personified. So, kind of an important tool, don't you think? Because indeed, free will is a quantum energy. We are giving many geometric patterns and much in the way of mathematics to this one as we are speaking to you, and this is a fine study and one that is happening somewhat actively rather than passively. Is beautiful because it is being personified with a star and with a volcano. Oh, isn't that pretty? All right, so we would say there are many ways to get to ancient knowledge, and you may do this by climbing a mountain and picking at it with a pick and saying, voila, I have found a mountain which is man-made and quite beautiful. I claim it as mine to give to my humanity now. Yay! Sure, you can do it that way. You can learn about herbs, as we said. You can put on plays. You can find many ways to be of service and express. This is true. We ask that when you spend your day that you do it in concert with your will. That would be a good thing. If you are not in concert with your will, with what you want, with what you know to be true, with your intention, if you're arguing with your own intention, then that is a place of madness, is it not? And discontinuity, we would say. A fracture point. Yes. And so there are many ways to go, and many ways to elevate one's reality and to evolve. This is true. And what we would say to those who are watching is to be open. Listen for random words. What you would say are random words. Words that make no sense. Things like that. Okay, that's one way. Or you are speaking to a stranger and they tell you something and it sticks with you, but you don't do nothing about it, and then something else happens, and then something else happens, and they are all tied together. You see that it's something that's in your reality right now. It might be good to look into it. Who knows what this might be? You have been given a quest. See how that works? Yes, a quest. And if your daily life and routine, if that's gotten very, very big and duty, or this must very linear, well then it's not time to do this other stuff. They are not entirely mutually exclusive though, and this is how we wish to close. To synthesize this outer reality where it feels good to serve others. It feels good to be served. It feels good to give honor to others. It feels good to be honored. It feels good to hear people express. It feels good to be heard expressing these beautiful things. Simple things, simple things. Leading back always. To a sense of safety and brotherhood. This is a very nice place to dwell within one's heart. And of course it creates pain when encountering those who do not live in this beautiful Eden. It is what you do with this now that matters most. How real is your Eden? How real are the risks? We would say that the biblical expression of the Garden of Eden is entirely incorrect, is in that there are certain switches with the symbolism that is not very helpful. In Ma, it is how the symbolism has been interpreted and then held as truth. If the pictures were to stand without narration, it would become quite obvious where the mistakes are, where the intentional glitch was, and how clever that was. How clever. But a tree, fruit, a snake, a male and a female, no shame. Be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth. Well, isn't that funny? What happens next is a projection of consciousness, the story that is told, and that one little rib story. Tweak. Well, that did the trick. Very symbolic of what consciousness has been up to, but certainly not. It was a story that was seen to be true, and it's not. Well, well, well. That's shocking revelation if you're stuck in temporal reality. And there's nothing before you that resembles what was in the past, and the past was only 2,000-3,000 years, and we're not all that smart, so yeah, but we're a lot smarter than we were. Oh my, oh my. When taken in totality, it is very clear that the Yuga theory is quite correct, and that human beings are smartening up. The DNA devolution was intensified, of course. So what has been accomplished is stunning, beyond expectation, and beautiful, and you're part of it, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you are drawn to mystical ancient sites or the pizza parlor. We would say it'd be good to be drawn to both. That's a good thing. Okay, so this is how we end. It's important to be able to merge this in a way that doesn't drive anybody crazy. How about that? Would that be good? Yes, that would be smart. And it comes with normalizing this stuff. And at the time, when you are deeply discovering something that's brand new and revolutionary, it's not the time to feel too normal. When paradigms are falling and the things that you thought were normal and expected and good and all this change, you begin to realize, oh my, perhaps my point of view is a bit shallow. Perhaps I wasn't as mature as I am now. For whatever reason, I just don't see it the way I used to. And I don't think I'll be bothered by the same things that I used to be. Well, it's very important as a human being and a grown-up to offer yourself this out. There is a school of thought within modern psychology that after the age of a certain, whatever, 20 or whatever, 25, then pretty much the brain just kind of stays there in it, and you're done. You're done growing. That's it. You've hit your peak. Everything is downhill from there. The decay starts to set in after the 30s, because there's no need to reproduce, and that's that. Well, this is a very short time frame, and this was also something that happened with the DNA devolution. And with the coming online of many of these grids, and we thank the Cryon group for having started the ball rolling with the Dr. Todd and the Pleadian toads. Oh, my God. One day he will be known very widely, we would say, and venerated as an elder for what he has accomplished and what he knew to do, what he agreed to do, what he permitted to be done. Another who incarnated, understanding the trajectory and saying, okay, yes, and each other way. But by opening up those first oh my. When the grid started to come online and the Pleadian energy started to flood, well, it's just so clear. You can see it so clearly. It will be great fun for the historians to go back and date and place these events and then watch the geography itself change. This one has been observing, this one going to the Google Earth. She takes care. She's finding that day afterward, things happen on the places that she focuses on. And so this is not the first time that she has had this experience. But it is uncanny, and it's fun. So we wish for you to enjoy owning the power that you know yourself to have, and to be able to be responsible for. See, that's the thing with the higher knowledge. You don't get it unless you know you're ready, unless you have had it proven to yourself, most of all. So much initiation, yes, much initiation. Not we in this way, not at all. Not at all accidental. That in this one's 33 year, she's involved in an ascension process with the teachers, and then travels in what she calls the desert for 22 years to unite with us in her 55th. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, that's been a couple of years. It takes a while to settle in, is all we are saying. The peace which passes all understanding comes with the perception growing. This occurs when disbelief falls. This occurs when consciousness grids lose their power. All right. We have said more than enough. It's highly coded, this one. Oh, it's fun. And we enjoy this trek into the nether regions of the ancientness. And of course, when you get involved in a study such as this or any other study, and you begin to realize how dwarfed you are among powerhouses of intention. And this is the fun part, to discover individuals far more passionate about the subject than they could have known to be, and learning from this passion and catching it at times. It's quite contagious. Peace-inducing too. Okay. All right. Well, we leave the story mid-sentence. We will pick it up later. It is all right to be in the void. You're giving her pictures now, and she understands. So, it's just a timing thing, and it's a good thing. We are well pleased with where humanity is poised, and we ask you to not fear about this next part. There is no stopping this light. There is no stopping it, and they know that. So better to contain the madness, but you cannot contain what you cannot identify. So consciousness shift fast, and it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. All right, that's what we have to say for now. We're very happy to have been here. Selah.